Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on the gorgeous Bobble Stitch Swatch, swatch number 21 for the Swatch Blanket of 2021. Swatch number 21, you like that? And this is, it's a tricky stitch, guys, it really is. But look, it's practice, okay? You will get it. It is practice, all right? Now I used 40 grams of our Spot Saver yarn here in Australia. It's 100% acrylic, and this one is called Sherbet. Very nice. Okay, now it calls for a 5mm hook, and we have been using the 5mm hook all along. You will need, however, your scissors, your sewing needle, darning needle for 2 ends, and you will need some stitch markers. Now I only had 5 on the table at the time, but you will need 6, okay? You will need 6 stitch markers. All right, so the stitch it's quite tricky, but once you get it, I've got my hair there. Once you get it, you get it. All right, so thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget, if you want to be a part of our Swatch Blanket of 2021, you are welcome to join us on our lives at Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. and Saturday mornings 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time, that is. And we can all get together and talk about our blanket. And also you guys get to decide what colour combinations that we have. We have another 3 swatches to go. I'm lying. Let's try 4 swatches to go after this, and then that's it, and then we'll be putting our swatches together. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy making your gorgeous Bobble Stitch swatch, swatch number 21. Good luck, guys. Alrighty guys, we're going to start off with a quick slip knot, grabbing your tail end, wrapping it around your finger once, twice, holding it there and holding it down there. Grab your back loop, pass it halfway over, hold it there, grab the other loop, passing it all the way over, pop your hook in, giving everything a tug. All right, we are going to start off by making 25 chains. Yes, so we are chaining 1, and a chain is a yarn over your hook, pull a loop through once, get a bit closer even, yarn over your hook, pull a loop through twice, yarn over 3, yarn over 4. All right, yarn over 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. All right, these are your chains. Now ordinarily, to make 25 single crochets across, you would need to chain up 1 more, and we're going to do just that. So chaining 1 more, because that stitch is not counted as a stitch, all right? So when you work right into that very next loop, okay? Now we're going to make a single crochet, okay? Go into that first loop, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, holding it there, grabbing your little stitch marker and popping it in that stitch right there. Yes? All right, now what you're going to do is single crochet in every stitch all the way across. Now every stitch is that little loop that you see right there, those top loops right there. Yes, so go into your very next stitch, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and again in, pull up a loop, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and so on all the way across the row. An easy stitch, this one, and actually works up very fast. The only thing is, if you're wanting to make a blanket out of this stitch, because it's such a small stitch, does take you a little longer. If you are using chunky yarn, you can make a full blanket with this in no time. But if you are using your basic yarn, like your 8-ply number 3 or a DK weight, to make a blanket in that would take you a very long time. But the fact that we are making just a swatch today, works up really well. All right, so single crocheting all the way across your row like so. So the next few rows are going to be easy. right, here we go. Whoops, we are very, very close to the end there. Well, we actually are at the end. When you did your single crochets all the way across, right there will be your last loop. Pop your hook in that last loop, do a single crochet like normal. All right, just going to pull up that loop for a minute and show you just quickly how you need to count your stitches. All right, these are the little loops that you need to count. They're little V's, they look like little V's, yeah? And you're counting these stitches all the way across your row, making sure you ended up with 25 stitches. All right, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in your stitch marker is the 5th stitch. All right, basic stitches, nice and quick and easy. All right, so you are chaining 1, turning your work. Either way, you can turn it this way or you can turn it the other way. Just remain consistent throughout your work, and I turn it like I'm turning the page in a book to remind me which way I turned it. All right, now you need to pop a single crochet in your first stitch. Now you are actually here, you're in your first stitch, but you're still going to pop a single crochet in there and you're going through that little V. If you're not sure, just giving your work a tug and you can see the little space that you need to go in. So right there, the very first one, pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, grabbing your stitch marker, which I actually have a closed one for some reason. Don't usually close them when they're out. That was very odd of me to do, but anyway. And there you go. All right, popping a single crochet right in that very next V. Now you can see where you need to go. All right, there's the V that you're in. That's the V you go in next. All right, and then 1 in the next, and then 1 in the next. And you are doing single crochets all the way across this row. Next V right there, you can see the space, pop your hook in, pull a loop through. All right, so off you go doing your single crochets all the way across the row. Now I'm going to go a bit fast because I want to get to the end of the row and give you some instructions. So here we go. Easy, this part, and the instructions will be easy as well. All right, for part of the tutorial, once we get to the bobble, it can get a little tricky, but you know what, we're not doing a lot of bobbles in this piece. We're making that gorgeous heart that you saw at the beginning. Yep. In the promo, it's so cute, I like it. All right, here we go, nearly there. In fact, I'm going to get nice and close so you can see what I do here. There's my stitch before, another one before, and we've got a second last stitch right there, and the last one is the one our stitch marker's in. Right, so pop your hook in, pull a loop through, do your single crochet, and then straight into your stitch marker stitch and do your single crochet. Take out your stitch marker for now, you'll need it for your next row. Okay, all right, so here you are. You've got your 25 single crochets across. Make sure you count them before you continue, all right? Because what I want you to do now, this is the easy part, is to do another 6 rows of single crochet going up, turn, back, and so on and so on and so on for 6 more rows, okay? We have 2, we want 8, so do another 6 rows, and I'll meet you back here in a moment and we'll get ready for pattern change. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of our 6th row, which is actually our 8th row if you consider that we did 2 rows beforehand. Now originally we need to start our bobble on the next side for it to match right in the middle, but that's actually the wrong side for this particular piece. Because if you look carefully, that looks rather neat. That kind of looks a little bit, it's hard to tell. It's up to you if you want to start it on that side, but I'm going to do another row, which will make our, I suppose it'll make our bobbles go up a little bit higher. So don't stress too much about that. You know, it's just a very small pattern for our swatch anyways. So pop your single crochet in your last stitch, chain 1, turn your work, single in your first, and I just want you to do this whole row for me. And what I'll do, I'm just going to pop it on fast. I'm not going to let you head off and do it. So I'm just going to pop it on fast, and then I will meet you at the end of this row and we'll start our pattern. All right, so off we go. Alrighty, here we are. Second last stitch right there. The last stitch in there. Taking out your stitch marker, and let's start our very next row. But before we do, I need you to make sure you have your 25 single crochets across. Now, I forgot to mention before we started that you need your stitches to be an odd amount of stitches. So if you've decided that 25 single crochets are too tight for you and you want it to go up by 2 so that you're on 27, or go down by 2 so that you're on 23. So it has to be an odd amount of stitch for this pattern to work. All right, so make sure you've got your 25 across. Yes. And, oh, before we start, grabbing a stitch marker, oh, not the big one, grab one of your small ones, and just count across half of 25. We can't do it to go half of 24. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's half of 24. Well, we want to go into our next stitch. All right, and I've split that stitch like a duffer that I am. Doesn't matter because we're going to take it out when we get there. All right, so count your 12 across this way, 12 across this way, and then pop your stitch marker on your middle stitch. All right, if you've got 25 stitches, just pop your stitch marker on your middle stitch, if that helps. I should have said that in the first place. All right, so turning your work like normal. Oh, hang on, chain 1, turn like normal. Single crochet into your first stitch, grabbing your large stitch marker again. Okay, I'm just using the small ones in the middle because it's easier to look at. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now we're single crocheting all the way across until we get to that stitch marker, and that's where we're going to do our very first bobble stitch. Okay, so single crochet, and single crochet all the way across. All right, and there's one right before that stitch marker. Let's complete it because you don't want to be short. Now if you want, you can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, because on your 13th stitch, you can take out that stitch marker now. You're going to perform your bobble. Yay. Okay, so one bobble consists of 5 steps, or going into your stitch for 5 times. So yarn over your hook into that very next stitch that had the stitch marker in it, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and we're going to do it a second time, yarn over, in the space, pull a loop through, 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. We're going to do it a third time, in the space, and just keep doing that, pull through 2, 4th time, in the space, pull through 2, and a 5th time, which is your final time, in the space, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 2, and if you played your cards right, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops on your hook. All right, nice tall loops. Yarn over, pull through all 6 loops on your hook, giving everything a tug. We're going to lock it into place by chaining 1. Nice tight chain, because that's not going to classify as a stitch in the next round, and I'll show you that in a minute. All right, so tight, 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 and then single crochet into your very next stitch. Now we worked into that stitch there. We're going to go into that one right there. A little bit awkward, but we can do it. Pull a loop through and just push that bobble through with your fingers so that you can actually complete your single crochet. And then you're going to single crochet all the way across. Sorry about that big bright light there, guys. That's the sun coming through after a downpour. It's all shimmery and shiny. Oh, here it goes. The clouds are coming now, so it'll go away. All right, so that, it was a bit tricky, but it wasn't completely difficult, and we don't have a lot in this pattern anyways. Imagine if you had to do all the rows like that. All right, into your last stitch, take out your stitch marker. Now remember, you had 13 across this way, or 12, sorry, I'm wrong, 12 across this way, and your 13th was there. So now you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and your 12th one is right in there. All right, now this next row, a tiny little bit tricky as well. So flipping your work like normal, no, I'm lying. Chain 1 and flipping your work like normal, just telling lies. Oh dear. Single crochet in your first stitch like so. Now this is going to be a single crochet row, but it's a little tricky around our bobble area. All right, single in your next, and so on all the way across until, let me just grab some yarn, just all run out of yarn right here. Oh dear, that'll teach me. Until you get to the middle where your stitch marker is. All right. Now, if you wanted to, and in fact, I'm going to do that for you so that you know what you're doing, just count what you're doing here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and there is a 12th stitch right there. All right, 12. But before you continue, let me show you quickly. The next stitch you're going to is in there, right? This tiny little thing right here is the chain stitch that we put in to tighten up your bobble. You don't go in that chain stitch, all right? Just wanted to show you. So you've got your 12, you're skipping that little tiny tight chain and you're popping into the bobble stitch, okay? With your single crochet. That's the bobble stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, too close now. Sorry. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So altogether, you should have 12 single crochets on one side, 12 on the other, and 1 inside your bobble stitch. So when you count your row, you will still have 25 single crochets and 1 gorgeous bobble right there. How gorgeous is that? It's so cute. All right, so that's that. It's a little tricky to do, but you know what? It's practice here, and we don't have a lot in this pattern. So there you go. All right, so now you are chaining 1. You're going to do another bobble row. But before you do, grabbing your little stitch markers, because, oops, because we're going to count across. In fact, I find it easier to see the stitches this way. All right, we're going to count across 10. So that's the stitch that we are in right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Pop your stitch marker in the 10th. And on this side, you're going to do exactly the same. 1, let's get the stitch marker ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Popping your stitch marker in there, 10. All right. When you do your chain 1, which we've done, and you turn your work, that is where you're going to place your next bobbles. There and there, and in between you're going to have single crochets. So we're going to do this together. I'm not going to leave you in the lurch. We'll do this together. All right, single crochet into your into your first stitch. Get it right, Mary. All right, we're popping our stitch marker in that single crochet stitch like normal. So you're still putting your stitch markers at the end of each row. All right, I'm sorry, let's try the beginning of each row. 2, so you've got 1, 2, and we're on our third one, 4th. You don't even need to count this part, okay? 5th, because you've already put your stitch marker in, your 10th. Okay, so actually you're doing 9 single crochets across, like so. When you get to your 9th single crochet, take out your stitch marker and perform your bobble. Okay, so let's perform our bobble. Nice close up there. All right, so yarn over your hook. Sorry. Yarn over your hook into your stitch, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 2 once. And make sure you've got them the height of a double crochet, yeah? Twice. So don't pull them like that because that's too tight. Okay? Twice. 3. 4. And 5. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yarn over, pull through all 6 loops on your hook, chain 1, giving everything a tug, and your next single crochet is here, right there, real tight. Give your bobble a push, and then finish off your single crochet, and single in your next, single in your next, which is pretty tight there, but keep going, single in your next, single in your next, and guess what? You've got a bobble right there. So we're going to do a bobble. Yarn over your hook and off you go doing your bobble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yarn over, pull through all 6 loops, chain 1 nice and tight, single into your very next stitch, pushing that bobble through. Whoops, whoops, don't do that. Finishing off your single crochet. And off you go for single crocheting all the way across the rest of your row. Hopefully you're not doing this so tight like I am. I can see it tugging in the middle. You don't want that, okay? You want to keep your stitches a little loose in the middle, just being wary. The only thing that needs to be tight, let me finish off, is that 1 chain stitch. That's all. Everything else really, like I can see mine tugging in the middle there, okay? It's not too bad, but there you go. All right, how cute is that? It's so cute. I'm sorry, I get too excited. I do. I really am bad like that. So guess what you're going to do? Exactly what we did in the other row. It's every consecutive row you do this, where you chain 1, turn your work, and single crochet all the way across the row. Being careful not to get that chain stitch. Yeah? So 1, oh, you don't need to count. Well, you do. You need to make sure you've got 25 at the end of this row, but single crocheting all the way across. Get to your bobble, and I'll show you what you're going to do. Let's get a close up. Okay, I've got a stitch right there, and I've got a single crochet there. Don't forget that single crochet, and there's a little tiny chain stitch right next to it. So single crochet, skip that chain and go right into that. It's kind of a loose single crochet. That's the one you need. And then single crocheting all the way across until you get to your very next bobble. Okay, and we've got a nice tight stitch. See, I'm doing these second single crochets too tight, the one after the bobble. Don't do them so tight. Your work will pull like mine is. That's the chain, and we want to go into that loose stitch there. And guess what? You're single crocheting. Oh, I think I might have done that wrong. Oh no, I didn't do it wrong. It looked like it. but I didn't. There we go, 2 loops. I thought I didn't go through both loops. Anyway, single crocheting all the way across your row. And we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Oops, oops, oops. I lost everything there. You had one job, Mary. All right, here we go. Single crochet in your second last, single in your last, and just pulling up that loop for a minute. And get ready for some instructions. How gorgeous is that? I love, love, love. Look, it's not my favorite stitch, but I do love this look. They're really big. They're really, really big, aren't they? All right, so that's your bobble stitch. All right, so guys, what I want you to do is for your next row, you are going to place your stitch markers in now, and then you're going to head off on your own and do the next 2 rows on your own. So before we came across 10 stitches, now we're going to come across 8. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and in your 8th stitch, pop a stitch marker there. Yes. And then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In your 8th stitch, you pop a stitch marker there. And I want you to repeat what we did in this row here, except you're putting your bobbles where your stitch markers are. All right. So the pattern is only a 2-row repeat. I will show you at the end of every second row where to put your stitch markers. All right. But you are going to now head off on your own, repeat these last 2 rows right here, popping your bobbles in these 2 stitches, and I will meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, that's what you should have right now. So I'm going to complete this second row, okay, which is a single crochet in there like so, stitch marker out, chaining 1, and let's do our stitching again. All right, now this one here, this next step we're going to do has to be repeated for 4 rows, okay? So, and that's kind of starting to close up our heart already. So what you're going to do, before we went across 8 stitches, now we're going to go across 6. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Popping your small stitch marker in your 6th, yeah? And then this way you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in there you have our 6th right there. All right, so what you need to do, now it's exactly the same as what we've been doing. You're doing the first and the second row once, and then you're going to do it another time. So you're going to have 4-row repeat there. So in fact, you should call it the pattern row repeat twice. All right, so do 4 more rows, 1 row of bobbles, 1 row single crochet row, another row bobble, and another row single crochet row, and then meet me back here and get ready for pattern change again. All right, do those 4 rows and I shall meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, how gorgeous is that? So your bobbles should have ended up on top of each other, okay? Had you played your cards right. Make sure you have 25 single crochets across this way, okay? We're going to, oh hang on, before we do start, sorry, we need to pop our stitch markers in. This is going to be a very different row because we are going to pop our bobble in the middle to start the heart. All right, I'm sorry, finish the heart, not start it. We've already started it. So how naughty am I? All right. So what we're going to do here is we are going to count 8 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pop your stitch marker in the 8th stitch right there. Yes, and across here, grab another stitch marker and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pop your stitch marker in there. Now you get a 3rd stitch marker. And from here you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pop your stitch marker in the 5th single crochet. Now if you're counting back from there, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. may not look right, but trust me, it is once you do it. All right. So now what I want you to do, we're going to do this row together, I think. Probably a good idea. Don't forget to chain your stitch there before you turn. Turn your work like normal. Single in your first. And again, popping that stitch marker Rooney in there like that. Don't you love my words? Shakespeare can do it, so can I. I'm so naughty, I'm sorry. Second single crochet, inventing my own words. Third, you don't need to count because you've got your stitch markers in there, but just make sure you don't miss anything so you're not out of sync or out of whack or anything. One there, and then you've got your, there you go, stitch marker. Take that out, perform your bobble. And right in the very next stitch with your bobble. 1, 2, you should be geniuses at it now, yeah? 3, geniuses. 4, and 5. Pull it through all 6 loops. Chain 1, give it a gentle tug, and single in your next. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in your 5th one you're going to pop another bobble. Take out your stitch marker and do your bobble. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1, single crochet into your next. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in your 5th stitch you're going to pop your last bobble for the row. 1, 2, 3, 4, one more, 5. Chain 1, nice tight loop there. Popping a single crochet in your next. 1, and all the way across your row. All right. And there's something in my work right there. I don't know what that is. There's a bit of fluff, I think. I'll take that out in a minute. Single crochet in your last stitch, like so. Chain 1, pull up your loop, and there you go. So you have started, well, when I say before started, you have started the closing up of your heart. Is it not gorgeous? I think it is. And there you go. All right, so let's do the next row together, and we'll pop this on fast too as well, but we're turning our work, single crocheting in our first stitch like so, popping your stitch marker in there like so, and single crocheting all the way across your row. Now remembering you've got extra bobble stitches to deal with here. Well, there's your first one, jumping straight into that stitch right there, and off you go. I'll do the second one with you, and then we'll just pop it on fast. And right there, just remembering not to go into the little chain stitch, but into all the single crochet. So let's pop this on fast, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Alrighty, right here, second last stitch, and the last stitch. Chain 1, taking out your stitch marker, and let's have a look at where we are at the moment. There. All right, so we need to do another set of bobbles. Okay, so what we're going to do here is a little different. Okay, we're going to count across 9 bobbles across, or 9 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's do it the other way so we can see what we're doing. Let's count across 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. popping your stitch marker in there. Okay, now what I want you to do is to skip one, pop a stitch marker right in the next one. All right, it's a little tricky this row. Okay, now you're coming back this way. 9. All right, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And in that 9th stitch right there, pop your stitch marker. And then you go skip one and put a stitch marker in the very next one. So let's turn it over and have a look. What you're going to do here is pop bobbles right there, which will close up our heart. All right, so this is a tricky row, this one. All right, so we're going to do this one together, and then I'll send you off on your own for the next 2 rows. So let's do this one together. Single crochet into our first stitch, popping your stitch marker in there. I've taken mine, so I'm not going to worry about it. Single crochet into your next and next, all the way over until you get to your first stitch marker. There. Whoops. Try catching it, Mary. And there. All right, now we're at the stitch marker. Let's get a nice close-up so you can see what I'm doing here. There's your stitch marker. You take that out, the first one. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pop it here so that we've got one there for later. Okay. Now we're going to pop in our normal bobble stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pulling your loop through, chain on, single in your next, like so. Very tricky, this part. You're doing a single, take out your next stitch marker, you're going to pop another bobble right in there. 1, 2, 3, whoops, being careful, 4, not to get too many loops there, 5, a bit tricky now because it's hard to hold the piece, chain 1, nice tight stitch, and then single in your next, popping your, make sure you're popping your bobbles through, a single crochet, finishing it off, single in your next, single in your next, bobble. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Making sure you've got your 6 loops, yarn over, pull through all 6, chain 1, single in your next, pushing that bobble through, and you're doing one last bobble for this row. And off you go. 1. Well, that didn't work. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Make sure you've got your 6 loops. Pull through, chain 1, and single in your next, just popping that bobble through, and off you go all the way across your row. Yay, yay, yay. Get excited, guys. All right, let's have a look-see at what we have. Oh, I've split the yarn there, so I'm going to take that out. It happens sometimes. Okay, now we're single crocheting in the last stitch, chain 1, pull up that loop, and let's have a look at our heart so far. Oh, look at that. Too cute. Oh, I love, love, love. Don't you love it? Yes, let's do a quick single crochet row. Oh my gosh, get excited, guys. Single in your first, popping your stitch markers in. If you have them, yours truly forgot to get that third stitch marker, which is why I was one short, as you do. All right, singling your next and your next. I'm going to pop this on fast for you. Oh no, I won't, not yet actually, because we want to get close to those bobbles, because these bobbles are a bit close, yeah? Close together, and you don't want to miss a stitch. Single in your next, just before the bobble. Skipping that little chain right there and single in the bobble stitch. And there is a single crochet right there. Fairly tight, but it's there. Yeah, whoops. Miss that little chain. Jump into your bobble. Single one. Single two. Single three. Miss the chain. Jump into your bobble. Go into the next single. It's tight, but it's there. Miss the chain. Miss the chain right there and go into your bobble. That's a bit of a loose chain, almost. And just single crocheting all the way across the row. Get too excited, guys. Get too excited. Okay, nearly there. Last one, right there. Chain one, pull up that loop, and get ready for our final, oh no, not really. It's our final row of bobbles. You're not finished yet, guys. Our final row of bobbles, and then we're on our own. Yay, how gorgeous does that look? See how I've pulled it too tight? We don't want that. Make sure it's nice and stretched out. That's probably too far now, but doesn't matter. It'll stretch back in again. All right, so there you go. How pretty does that look? We have one more row of bobble row to go, and then we are finished with the bobbles. With the bobbles only. We still need to do all those single crochet rows to make our 20 centimeters. But there you go. Let's do one more row of bobbles, and that is right in the middle of these two bobbles. We are going to pop our stitch markers. So I believe it was 10 across now. Let's have a good look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and pop a stitch marker in there. Like so. Let's try the other side first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's your 10th right there. Turn it over and have a look. Oh, did I do that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I got it in the 11th. I knew that didn't look right. Make sure you get it in the right stitches, guys. And there you go. All right, so yours truly would have made a mistake. There you go. All right, so there we are. The way it works, your bobbles in your next row should land flat bang in the middle of these two bobbles. All right, so let's just quickly do these together. Oh, this is a very long tutorial. I'm sorry, guys. It shouldn't have been that long, but anyway, oh, it happens. Single crochet into your next stitch. Just get excited because this is our last bobble row. And your next all the way until you get to your next bobble. And in fact, I might do this next bobble with you and then we can, oh no, we'll just keep going. It's this long already. You may as well just keep going. Do you like that? It's this long already, she says. all the way across. Can't take me anywhere. All right. There's the last one right there. Being careful, making sure you're getting all the stitches. And now we're up to our bobble. Take out this single crochet. Let's try slip stitch. Let's try stitch marker. I'm not editing this, guys. All right, here we go. Right into there, like so, with our bobble. 1, 2, slow down, Mary. 3, I'm rushing. Sorry, guys. 4, 5. I do tend to rush towards the end of a tutorial. I get super excited. Chain 1, single right into the very next stitch. Don't miss any stitches here. Popping your little bobble through, and off you go until you get to your next stitch marker, which is not that far away. And here it is. That came up quickly, didn't it? You like that? That came up real quickly. All right. Now what you're going to do is do your bobble in that stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull a loop through, chain or 1, and sorry, came out of frame there, single crochet in that next stitch and all the way across. I hope I wasn't out of frame completely. I hope I wasn't. Probably was. Oh, what? They're saying, what? No way. All right, keep going all the way across that row. And I still haven't taken that little black thing out. It's just a little bit of fluff. It'll come out later. Get to your last stitch, chain 1, take out your stitch marker, pat yourself on the back. You're not finished yet, guys. You're not finished the whole swatch yet, but you are finished with your bobbles. All right, how cute is that? If you wanted to, you could have omitted these 2 bobbles right here, okay, and just continued on with doing single crochets all the way. Look how mine's pulling. That's terrible. I hope yours is not pulling that much, guys. I hope it's not. Okay, you could have just continued on with your single crochets all the way across, and that's pretty much what we're going to do now. All right, so you could have, if you did do that, you would have had to have done some more single crochet rows, and it would have been a little bit out of sync, right? But there you go. What we're going to do is do 1 single crochet row like so. Turning your work, I'm going to do this really fast. Pop your stitch marker in. I'm not going to, but you can just pop it in. We're doing 1 row of single crochet all the way across the row, and then I'm going to give you some instructions for measurements. All right, and let's get into a nice close-up right here of that single crochet right there. Try not to miss it because you don't want to be a single crochet short. And 1 in there like so, and another in the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. Oops, split the yarn there. Now right here there is a tight one right in there. Get that. Being careful not to get your chain stitch right there. Single crochet in your next. Let's try that again. There we go. And your next, until you get to the end of your row. Now I am rushing you on this row because I just want to give you some instructions, and then we will meet at the end of those instructions and I'll tell you what you're going to do next. The rest is very basic. You're going to love the rest, trust me. Chain 1, pull up that loop, and let's have a quick discussion on what we're going to do now. All right, so there you go. There's your heart. Completely done. Oh, completely done. Okay, so look, we've got a whole lot of single crochet rows. The heart does look a little bit wobbly, but that was the only way I can get it to look like a heart. In the meantime, your job now is to do your single crochets until you get to the end of your piece. Now I calculated you need another 7 rows. That's how much I'm going to do. So there you go. You get your measuring tape, and if you look carefully, in fact I'll show you here. If you look carefully from here to there, it's 5, oh sorry, I'm not even in frame. It's 5 centimeters from your last bobble, yeah? So 5 centimeters, yeah? So if you were to go all the way up here, it's 15 centimeters, yeah? If you added another 5, which is your next 7 single crochet rows, you would have your 5 centimeters, and it would be roughly 20 centimeters and a little bit over. So your job now, easy part, 7 rows. It's all you need to do. 7 rows of single crochet. When you get to your last row, meet me here and we'll talk about what we're going to do next, all right? Head up on your own, do your 7 rows, and I'll meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, there you go. How gorgeous does that look? Now to be honest with you, can't remember if I did 7 rows or 8 rows there, but it doesn't matter. Just do as many rows that you can to make your 20 centimeters or 8 inches. Now, like I said before, it makes a little bit more than what I'm supposed to be getting. It makes about 20.5 centimeters, or just about an 8, almost an 8¼ inches, all right? Coming right across this way, it makes pretty much 20 centimeters, and pretty much the same as our last single crochet row. Parts of it will be 20 centimeters and parts of it will be 19, because it kind of, your single crochet row kind of, you know, it's an astringent, and this doesn't help, all these bobbles here, but how gorgeous do they look? I love, love, love. So let's get on with finalizing our square, yeah, swatch if you will. Right at the end of the row, normally we chain one, we're still going to do that, pull up that loop, make sure your stitch count is correct, but grabbing your scissors, giving your work a cut like so, and you have completed your work. However, we do have an end to weave in. I mean, look, I can show you, we do it every week, but I will show you roughly just this last one. It's entirely, oh here, a bit too far. It's entirely up to you how you want your ends to weave in. All right, or how you want to weave your ends in. I am actually going to go down and then work into a single crochet row. And I think we did that in our last swatch as well. So let's just find some little thread somewhere. I might go over a little bit like that. And I'm actually being naughty and splitting my threads. And again, I say this in all my tutorials, it's an absolute no-no, don't do it. But I show you that anyway, and I'm so naughty myself. Hey, what do? So we're going down, all the way down the stitch, like so, right into the bottom of the stitch, where we're going into the bottom of that single crochet row, and then we're going to work in and out of that single crochet row right there, making sure that you cannot see the needle from the front, from the front, and you can't, which is good. So just quickly weave that in. Now yours truly is going back the other way in a different area, or maybe splitting another stitch like a naughty girl that I am, and going straight, I am very naughty, I really am, going straight into those stitches there, like so. And just having a look, you can't see it that way. I still haven't taken that little black thing out. You can't see it there. It's just a piece of thread. I'll have to get in there and take it out later. And there, but you know what? I'm a little bit pedantic. I'm going back again for a third time. Not necessary, seriously, guys. But yours truly, hello, she gets really pedantic about these things. And I'm going back the other way. And my regular subscribers would actually know how fussy I am. To the newbies, oh, welcome, by the way. But yeah, I'm very fussy with ends. Even though I dislike doing them, I am very fussy with them. So that was the third time. So I'm going to give it a cut and just giving it a little tug, and it falls into place. It should never come out like that, but you never know. Hey, you never know. Hopefully not. All right, so there you go, guys. I'm not going to do this last end. You can do that off air, pretty much the same way as we just did that. All I want to say is thank you so much for joining us for swatch number 21. It is our bobble stitch. It is a bit tricky, but look how gorgeous it. I mean, it does make a pretty swatch. Seriously, I don't like doing them, to be honest with you, myself. And along with our wonderful, lovely subscriber Kiki, neither of us like doing them. But however, you know what? Sometimes you need to try new things, test out your crochet skills, take a risk. You know, you've got nothing to lose except one swatch. Okay, if not, and you're not happy with this swatch and you want to do something else, then head over to one of our other swatches. I will leave a playlist in the description box down below, and you can do one of our other swatches. All right, thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and do all the wonderful things that you guys always do for me. And all I want to say right now is how gorgeous. There is our bobble stitch swatch number 21 complete. Ciao for now.